In this video, we're going to be installing the Hobbywing. This is the XD10 Pro Hobbywing's Drift Specific ESC. We're going to be installing it into my son's drift car, going through what it takes to install it, what it takes to set it up, some of the initial tuning that I will do on it, all hoping to help you out in case you're considering doing the same thing. Pull this out. Nice and fancy purple to match everything. That is interesting, isn't it? How two very different companies will get the absolute exact same shade of purple. Hobbywing, fancy, super fancy fan. The ESC mount tape, some bullets, some heat shrink, couple zip ties as always, plus user manual, which is going to be helpful for us as we get to tuning it. And then we never use it, but stickers. We got the fan installed on the top, and man, this ESC sure just looks pretty, doesn't it? So we got that. We stole the sensor wire from the old ESC, moved it over because the ESC does not come with one. So now we're just going to look at where does it mount, looking at how we want to route the wires. It provides in here double-sided tape, so that's going to be super useful for us to mount it down to the chassis. So I'm thinking the ESC goes something like this. 3 ABC wires can just come right around and go right to the motor there. These are the battery wires that we might, power wires that we might put a plug on instead of bullets. We do need to find somewhere to mount the capacitor. It might be able to go right up here, right in front. So that should work. Have little bullets soldered on to each one of the motor wires that are the right length for the motor, and then we have bullets for both the positive and negative of the battery. We're going to actually tie them separately like this around the ESC, so that way there's no real chance. They're going to come down and it's going to be one side for one side for the other. You're not really going to have as much chance to cross them. That is a tip that we probably should have already done before. So now we're going to mount this. I need to get shrink wrap on these ends. We're going to use the included tape to mount it down right up here on the chassis. Get the capacitor mounted up, plug in everything else, and then we're going to get to being able to tune it. That is one good looking ESC all on there with the capacitor on there. Hopefully this is good. We got the wires all tied up. Yes, it's not the prettiest wire job in the world, but it works. So now it is off to basic fire up, setup, and see how it runs. Step one is calibrating the controller to the ESC. So we're going to hold the power button until it beeps. Alright, it's doing a bunch of beeping. We're going to leave it, throttle at neutral, hit the power button once. It beeps once green, full throttle, hit it again. Full reverse, hit it again, more beeps. It resets. Now we have forward is forward, brake works, reverse works. And just like that, we now have a working drift car. So let's test it. Before we do anything else, this is just the in-the-box setup. Let's test it and see how it drives. It has really good throttle control, no issues whatsoever there. Yeah. I don't hear, if I hit full throttle, I don't hear turbo or boost. I can't tell if it's actually coming in or not. We're going to have to check on the programming. I don't know if in the core program if it actually has it or not. Car drives beautifully, just like that. In order to jump in here and tune some items, I'm going to be using the Hobbywing. This is the OTA Bluetooth programmer. There is a little slot right here on the front of the ESC that has a little plug in it. You can take that off, and then on the plug here it has signal plus and minus. You can line that up with the marks on the ESC. Then when you fire up the car, this will be powered, and you can connect into it with a Bluetooth app on your phone. All right, with this set up, what I did is I went through the whole menu here. So I didn't see in the instructions where it actually told you what the baseline was for all the different settings. And I went through and I just marked in everything what the baseline was. Couple things that I'm going to change on mine straight out of the box that you may also want to consider. One thing under reverse delay. So reverse delay is set from the factory at 2 seconds, and I find that miserable. So we're going to bring it down. I don't know if we're going to go all the way to 0. We'll go down to half. That way we can get back to the reverse rather quickly. So we're going to hit that. The other thing I'm concerned about is total timing with everything. So the motor is currently set at 20 degrees on the can. And then from the factory, it sets boost at 10 degrees and turbo at 10 degrees. So 20 plus 10 plus 10, we're only at 40 total degrees timing with the motor. Oftentimes I run about 60, something along those lines. I usually run, my starting spot is 30 on the can, plus 15 plus 15. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to leave the can as it is right now with a 20, but I'm going to bump these up initially to 15 to try them. Maybe later bump them up even further to get even more timing into it. We will see. But for that, all we have to do is come down here, boost timing, and there is 15. Turbo timing also at 15. We save successfully. That should now be in the ESC, and we can try it again. Alright, let's test that reverse. So I stop, I can immediately go into reverse. That's awesome. Look, here we go. Stop, reverse, yay! So if we spit out of the track now, you don't have to sit there for 20 seconds before you hit reverse. Ah, look at that. So left the reverse at 25% power because we just don't need a lot more than that. And it looks great. Having tuned and driven this now, my thoughts on this XD10 ESC from Hobbywing is, one, very solid, has all the tuning and all the programming and everything that you would need for a drift car. Looks amazing, right? So that's the whole reason why we got it for this car, is my son already has this fancy drift car, already all the purple aluminum on it. So let's put another piece on there while we're at it, just to kind of continue to complete that look. But I don't know if at the end of the day, if you're watching this, you're considering buying one of these, I'd probably suggest looking around to see right now what the other XR10 ESCs and what their prices are. Because I know when I looked at this one, it's kind of on par. It's within 10 bucks, 20 bucks or something like that of the XR10 Pro. But there's the XR10 stock spec. It's a slightly lower amperage ESC, but it comes with all of the tuning that you would ever need. All of the same parameters can be tuned, maybe just a couple little ones here and there that aren't the same, but for the most part, you get all the same tuning parameters. You get turbo, you get boost, and it's like half the price. So I'm going to leave a link in the video description to this, the XD10, the XR10 Pro, whatever the latest one is that's out right now, and the XR10 stock spec, so that you can actually see those. Because the truth is, those three ESCs side by side, they all do great. And I think for the majority of folks out there, the cheaper one's probably just fine. On that bombshell, right, we're going to leave it here for today. I have a whole Drift Tech playlist. So if you're curious about those other ESCs that I mentioned, I've already tested those and have videos on them as well. That plus a lot of other tuning and tech tips for drifting will be popping up in a playlist over here to your right. I hope to see you in one of those. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.